Evelyn Hart was mocked the moment she stepped into Silverwing Airfield, called a tire repair charity case, humiliated by heiresses thrown out for daring to touch a simulator. They sabotaged her flight, laughed as she crashed, tore her application to shreds. Nobody knew. The quiet woman in torn jeans was Lieutenant Colonel Evelyn Hart, F-22 combat legend, and Silverwing's secret owner, until she landed a Raptor, silenced the airfield, and buried their arrogance in the Arizona dust. The Arizona plains shimmered under a scorching sun, the Silverwing Airfield a sprawling fortress of ambition where the elite played at piloting jets as if the sky were just another status symbol. The air crackled with the roar of engines, the tang of jet fuel, and the smug banter of America's wealthiest heirs, their tailored flight suits and designer sunglasses a testament to their inherited dominion. Evelyn Hart, a wiry figure in a faded white t-shirt, torn at the knee jeans, and battered canvas sneakers, stepped onto this battleground, her frayed tote bag slung over her shoulder like a badge of defiance. The airfield, with its gleaming hangars, state-of-the-art simulators, and private jets lined up like trophies, was a playground for the privileged where skill was secondary to pedigree. At the entrance, a security guard blocked her path, his sneer automatic, his voice dripping with condescension. "Lost your way, sweetheart. This is a flight training camp, not a tire repair charity," he scoffed, his badge glinting as he gestured toward the gate. Evelyn didn't flinch, her gaze cutting through him like a laser, her silence a wall that only fueled his arrogance. She walked past her sneakers scuffing the tarmac, the audience's blood boiling at the vicious public dismissal that marked her as an intruder in their gilded domain. The hangars loomed ahead, their steel doors a gateway to a world that mocked her presence. The cameras set up for the camp's promotional feed, zooming in on her worn tote, framing it as evidence of her unworthiness. The crowd of trainees, a mix of trust fund pilots, corporate scions, and socialite thrill-seekers, sized her up with sneers, their whispers a mocking rhythm that echoed across the sun-baked asphalt. Evelyn's stride, deliberate and unyielding, carried her toward the simulator hangar, but her unassuming demeanor made her invisible to the elite who ruled Silverwing. To them, she was a nobody, a smudge on their polished tarmac, and they were determined to erase her before she could touch a control yoke. As Evelyn approached the registration desk to submit her application, a group of aviation influencers, their branded flight jackets adorned with sponsor patches, gathered around her, their laughter a venomous curtain that drowned out the hangar's ambient hum. A slick-haired influencer with a gold-plated smartwatch stepped forward, his voice a sneering lilt that carried across the tarmac. "Look at this, our very own grease monkey thinking she can register for our camp," he mocked, waving his drone-mounted camera to livestream the jeers. "That t-shirt's so faded it's practically screaming junkyard. And that tote. It's an insult to Silverwing's prestige. This is a pilot's paradise where we soar above the elite, not where you come to fumble with your thrift store dreams. You're polluting our airfield just by standing here looking like you've wandered in from a scrap heap. Why don't you shuffle back to whatever garage you crawled out of before you waste our slots with your pathetic application?" The influencers roared, some tossing energy drink cans at her feet, their taunts a relentless barrage that echoed through the hangar. A corporate heiress in a leather flight cap smirked her nod, fueling their cruelty, as the cameras zoomed in on Evelyn's frayed jeans, framing them as proof of her inadequacy. Evelyn handed her application to the clerk, her posture rigid, her face a mask of stone, her silence a shield against their venom. But the weight of their scorn pressed like a physical force, the audience's rage surging at the orchestrated public shaming that targeted her ambition and socio-economic status. The registration desk meant to welcome aspiring pilots became a stage for her degradation. Each word a calculated strike to crush her spirit, amplified by the live stream to thousands. While Evelyn waited for her simulator orientation, standing near a briefing board listing flight protocols, a clique of private jet owners, their bespoke flight suits emblazoned with family crests, surrounded her, their laughter, a barbed wire fence that silenced the hangar's buzz. A tall jet owner with a diamond-encrusted lapel pin stepped forward, his voice a mocking bellow that carried over the clatter of tools. "What's this a street rat thinking she can read our protocols?" he sneered, waving his monogrammed flight log like a scepter. "Those jeans are so torn they're practically screaming hobo. And that t-shirt, it's an insult to Silverwing's legacy. This is an airfield for titans where we command the skies, not where you come to gawk with your sad little tote. You're defiling our camp just by breathing our air, darling. Why don't you scurry back to whatever slum you call home before you ruin our briefing with your clueless stare?" The jet owners roared, some flicking paper checklists at her feet, their taunts a relentless barrage that echoed through the hangar. A tech billionaire in a silk scarf smirked his nod, fueling their cruelty as the cameras panned to Evelyn's battered sneakers, framing them as evidence of her unworthiness. Evelyn studied the briefing board, her posture unyielding, her face impassive, her silence a fortress against their venom, but the weight of their scorn was a crushing force, the audience's fury erupting at the coordinated public assault that targeted her preparation and worth. The briefing board meant to educate trainees became a stage for her degradation, each word a dagger aimed at her heart. The owner's smugness, a relentless assault on her dignity, live-streamed to the camp's followers. The humiliation escalated in the simulator hangar where the heirs and heiresses of America's wealthiest families gathered, their laughter slicing through the air like afterburners as they spotted Evelyn's faded attire. A chorus of jeers erupted, led by Candace Roswell, daughter of Silverwing's chairman, her tailored flight suit and diamond-studded aviators a stark contrast to Evelyn's threadbare t-shirt. "Want to be a pilot, huh?" Candace sneered, strutting forward with her entourage, her voice a venomous drawl that silenced the hangar's hum. "Sweetie, turning a car key would be a challenge for you, let alone a jet engine. That tote's so ratty it's screaming flea market, and those jeans, they're an insult to this airfield. This is Silverwing, where we own the skies, not where you come to play pretend with your thrift store dreams. Honestly, it's almost pathetic you thought you could stand among us. Why don't you scuttle back to whatever diner you crawled out of before you embarrass yourself further?" The trainees roared their cheers, a storm that humiliated Evelyn in front of the instructors, some snapping photos for their social media, their hashtags, #TireShopPilot trending within minutes. Candace, her smirk a guillotine, tipped a full water bottle over Evelyn's sneakers, the liquid pooling around her feet. "Consider it a kindness," she scoffed. "Maybe your thrift store sandals will resurrect now." The audience's fury piqued their rage at the brazen public assault boiling over as Evelyn stood motionless, her tote bag dripping her face an unreadable mask, her silence louder than their jeers. The hangar, meant for training elite pilots, became a coliseum for her degradation, each laugh a calculated strike to crush her spirit, the trainees' smugness a relentless assault on her dignity, broadcast to the camp's promotional feed. The head instructor, Captain Marcus Drayton, delivered the final blow, his voice a gravelly bark that echoed through the hangar as he approached Evelyn, his flight cap tilted with disdain. "Ma'am, did you lose your way from the kitchen?" he sneered, his eyes raking over her soaked sneakers. "Do us a favor? Keep those dishwashing hands off my simulators. That t-shirt's so worn it's practically screaming janitor. And that bag? It's an insult to this camp. This is Silverwing, where we train legends, not nobodies who think they can waltz in and fly. You're lucky we even let you through the gate go back to scrubbing floors before you waste more of our time." The trainees erupted their laughter a tidal wave, some tossing paper flight manuals at her feet, their jeers a storm that humiliated Evelyn in front of the staff. Drayton's smirk was a blade, his voice a whip that lashed at her ambition, the cameras capturing her drenched shoes, the hashtags #KitchenPilot trending alongside #TireShopPilot. Evelyn's tote rested against her side, her face impassive, her silence a coiled spring, the audience's rage boiling over at the ruthless public dismissal that aimed to erase her from the airfield. During a pre-training safety briefing, as Evelyn stood among the trainees to listen to emergency protocols, a group of military academy cadets, their polished boots and insignia-laden jackets exuding disciplined arrogance, surrounded her, their laughter a venomous net that silenced the hangar's drone. A broad-shouldered cadet with a gold-plated watch stepped forward, his voice a mocking bellow that carried over the instructor's voice. "What's this, a drifter thinking she can learn our protocols?" he sneered, waving his flight manual like a flag. "That t-shirt's so ragged it's practically screaming beggar. And those jeans, they're an insult to Silverwing's honor. This is a camp for warriors where we conquer the skies, not where you come to loiter with your sad little bag. You're polluting our briefing just by standing here looking like you've wandered in from a tent city."
"Well, why don't you hightail it back to whatever gutter you call home before you ruin our training with your clueless presence?" the cadets roared, some tossing paper flight logs at her feet, their taunts a relentless barrage that echoed through the hangar. A defense contractor in a tailored suit smirked his nod, fueling their cruelty as the camera zoomed in on Evelyn's tangled hair, framing it as evidence of her inadequacy.
Evelyn listened to the briefing, her posture rigid, her face impassive, her silence a shield against their venom. but the weight of their scorn was a crushing force, the audience's fury erupting at the coordinated public assault that targeted her participation and worth. The briefing meant to ensure safety became a stage for her degradation, each word a dagger aimed at her heart. The cadet's smugness, a relentless assault on her dignity, live-streamed to the camp's audience. The mockery reached its zenith with a staged test flight designed to destroy her. The trainees shoved Evelyn into a simulator pod, their laughter a venomous chorus as they discreetly tweaked the settings, maxing out desert storm turbulence, introducing input lag, and desyncing the sensors to ensure a guaranteed disaster. Candace, orchestrating the sabotage, leaned against the pod, her voice a mocking lilt. "Let's see how our charity case handles a real jet," she sneered, her aviators glinting. "Bet she'll crash before she even lifts off." As Evelyn gripped the yoke, they muted her audio feed, piped in false radar readings, and watched her struggle the pod's screens, flashing warnings of an imminent crash. She nosedived into a pixelated cactus, the simulator screeching failure right on cue. The hangar exploded in laughter, a trainee shouting, "Did she just plow into the desert?" Another jeered, "Get airport security to escort her back to wherever she belongs." Drayton ripped her application from the clipboard, tore it to shreds, and tossed it into a trash can, his voice booming, "You're done here." After the simulator sabotage, as Evelyn gathered her belongings to leave the hangar, a group of aviation journalists, their press badges and designer notepads exuding intellectual superiority, gathered at the exit, their laughter a venomous chorus that silenced the hangar's hum. A gray-haired journalist with a silver fountain pen stepped forward, his voice a sneering lilt that carried over the clatter of departing trainees. "What's this, a crash dummy thinking she can exit our airfield with dignity?" he mocked, waving his notepad like a scepter. "Those sneakers are so battered they're practically screaming failure. And that tote. It's an insult to Silverwing's legacy. This is a camp for aviators where we chronicle legends, not where you come to crash with your sad little dreams. You're tarnishing our story just by lingering here, looking like you've wandered in from a scrapyard. Why don't you slink back to whatever hole you call home before you ruin our coverage with your pathetic exit?" The journalist roared, some tossing crumpled press passes at her feet, their taunts a relentless barrage that echoed through the hangar. A media executive in a silk blazer smirked her nod, fueling their cruelty, as the camera zoomed in on Evelyn's dripping t-shirt, framing it as proof of her defeat. Evelyn shouldered her tote, her movements deliberate, her face a mask of stone, her silence a fortress against their venom, but the weight of their scorn was a crushing force, the audience's rage erupting at the coordinated public assault that targeted her departure and worth. The exit, meant to be her escape, became a stage for her degradation, each word a dagger aimed at her heart. The journalist's smugness, a relentless assault on her dignity, live-streamed to the world. The next day, Silverwing buzzed with anticipation for a VIP demo show media crews swarming the airfield as the champagne crowd, corporate tycoons, socialites, and aviation moguls polished their egos alongside their private jets, their tailored suits and diamond earrings glinting under the Arizona sun. The tarmac shimmered with heat, the air thick with the scent of wealth and the hum of exclusivity, the crowd oblivious to the storm about to descend. Suddenly, a blip appeared on the radar, unscheduled, uninvited. A silver blur tore through the skies, a sonic boom shattering the morning calm. An F-22 Raptor, silent and deadly, roared over the airfield, its afterburners slicing the arrogance from the air. 3 surgical passes carved through the heavens, dust clouds erupting across the tarmac, swallowing the crowd's gasps. The jet executed a precision touchdown, its tires kissing the runway with a whisper, the canopy hissing open to reveal Evelyn Hart. Her flight suit gleamed, her oxygen mask dangled at her neck, her expression colder than the Raptor's titanium skin. From a Black Hawk helicopter nearby, Lieutenant General Hamilton emerged, his presence a thunderclap, his voice booming across the silenced airfield. "Ladies and gentlemen, meet Lieutenant Colonel Evelyn Hart, record holder 16-hour continuous combat flight in an F-22, former commander of the Phantom Wolves Squadron, and the anonymous investor who owns Silverwing Foundation." The crowd didn't breathe, their champagne flutes slipping, the camera zooming in on Evelyn's unflinching gaze, the audience's hearts pounding with awe at the revelation of her identity. As the F-22's engines powered down, Evelyn's silhouette emerged from the cockpit, her flight suit a gleaming testament to her authority, The airfield, now a hallowed ground where her legend was forged. A retired Air Force colonel whose medals had graced countless ceremonies stepped forward from the VIP crowd. His voice a resonant proclamation that silenced the airfield's hum. His presence a storm that swept away the last vestiges of the trainees' scorn. Evelyn Hart, your mastery of the Raptor is a triumph of skill and will a legacy that redefines aviation, he declared, his eyes fixed on her oxygen mask, now a symbol of her dominion. The Air Force will honor you with a distinguished service citation for your contributions to combat aviation. The cameras swept across Evelyn's unflinching gaze, her battered sneakers, now emblems of her triumph, her landing a defiant rebuke to the sabotage that had sought to bury her. The audience's satisfaction surged their rage at the initial cruelty transformed into awe at the colonel's tribute, each word a lash against the antagonist's pride. Candace Roswell, her aviators trembling, stood frozen, her socialite empire crumbling as social media erupted with #RaptorQueen, drowning her #TireShopPilot hashtags. The press, their pens a blur, framed Evelyn as the silent ace, her skill, a supernova that outshone their betrayal, the air thick with the weight of her triumph and their disgrace. The trainees who'd laughed sat in stunned silence, their flight suits, relics of their failure, their influence erased by Evelyn's brilliance. The airfield's tarmac, once a stage for scorn, now framed her victory, each citation a testament to her enduring dignity. The colonel's pledge to mentor her academy's cadets sealed the antagonist's humiliation, their legacy reduced to a footnote, the audience's hearts pounding with pride at her ascent. Evelyn stepped from the cockpit, her boots striking the tarmac with deliberate precision, her silence a force that suffocated the airfield. She walked past the trembling executives, past Candace Roswell, whose diamond aviators now seemed pathetic, her entourage shrinking into the dust. Evelyn paused at the trash can where her application lay in tatters, retrieving the crumpled water bottle Candace had poured over her shoes. With a flick of her wrist, she dropped it into the can, her voice a quiet blade. Trash belongs with trash. The crowd gasped, the cameras capturing every second, the audience's satisfaction soaring as Candace's face collapsed, her socialite empire crumbling under the weight of her shame. To Captain Drayton. Evelyn turned her eyes locking onto his, her verdict colder than the desert night. You teach people to fly. Yet you forget fly too low and you crawl with maggots, she said, her words a guillotine that severed his authority. The trainees who'd laughed stood silent, their hashtags, #KitchenPilot buried under #RaptorQueen, their clout erased by Evelyn's brilliance. With the airfield still reeling from Evelyn's landing, a prominent aerospace engineer whose designs had shaped modern fighters emerged from the Black Hawk, her voice a resonant decree that silenced the crowd's gasps, her presence a beacon of technical authority. Evelyn Hart. Your command of the F-22 is a masterclass in precision, a feat that will inspire the next generation of aerospace innovation, she declared, her eyes locked on Evelyn's flight suit, now a mantle of aerial sovereignty. Lockheed Martin will dedicate a research wing in your name to advance fighter jet technology. The cameras captured Evelyn's serene expression, her tote bag now a relic of her triumph, her landing a relentless assault on the mockery that had sought to erase her. The audience's satisfaction soared, their fury at the trainees' sabotage transformed into reverence at the engineer's pledge, each word a guillotine slicing through the antagonist's arrogance. Captain Drayton, his flight cap trembling, stood trembling, his authority obliterated as social media buried his #KitchenPilot hashtags under #SilverWing reborn trends. The press, their headlines blazing, framed Evelyn as the silent ace. Her skill, a radiant force that outshone their cruelty, the air thick with the weight of her triumph and their disgrace. The heiresses who'd jeered stood silent, their diamond accessories now relics of their failure, their clout erased by Evelyn's brilliance. The airfield's hangars framed her victory, each research wing a testament to her enduring dignity. The engineers' commitment to collaborate with Evelyn's academy sealed the antagonist's humiliation, their legacy reduced to ash, the audience's hearts swelling with pride at her coronation. Before the press, she produced a stack of documents, her voice steady. Effective immediately. I'm acquiring 80% of Silverwing Airfield's shares. Lesson 1 under my command. Learning when to bow your head. The termination papers were signed on the tarmac, Candace expelled on the spot, her father's influence powerless against Evelyn's command. As a revered aviation historian whose chronicles had immortalized aerial legends stepped onto the tarmac, his voice a resonant proclamation that silenced the airfield, his presence, a storm that swept away the last echoes of Candace's scorn. Evelyn Hart. Your F-22 landing is a chapter in aviation history, a testament to the unsung heroes who conquer the skies. He declared, his eyes fixed on Evelyn's oxygen mask, now a sacred artifact of her triumph. The Smithsonian Air and Space Museum will dedicate a permanent exhibit to your combat legacy. The cameras swept across Evelyn's unflinching gaze, her jeans a badge of her victory, her landing a defiant rebuke to the sabotage that had sought to break her. The audience's satisfaction surged their rage at the initial cruelty, transformed into awe at the historian's pledge, each word a lash against the antagonist's pride. The aviation influencers who'd mocked her stood trembling, their branded jackets, now relics of their failure, their #CrashLyra hashtags buried under #RaptorQueen trends that dominated global feeds. The press, their reports blazing, framed Evelyn as the silent ace. Her skill a radiant force that outshone their betrayal, the air thick with the weight of her triumph and their disgrace. The trainees who'd tossed manuals sat in stunned silence, their clout erased by Evelyn's brilliance. The airfield's runways framed her victory, each exhibit a testament to her enduring dignity. The historian's vow to chronicle Evelyn's story in a best-selling book sealed the antagonist's humiliation. Their legacy reduced to a cautionary tale, the audience's hearts pounding with pride at her ascent. The media erupted their footage of Evelyn stepping from the Raptor, going viral within hours, the audience's hearts pounding with pride at her surgical vengeance. With the crowd still reeling from Evelyn's dominance, a global aviation safety regulator whose standards had shaped international flight protocols emerged from the VIP stands, her voice a resonant decree that silenced the airfield. Her presence, a beacon of regulatory authority. Evelyn Hart. Your precision in the F-22 is a benchmark for aviation safety, a legacy that will protect pilots worldwide, she declared, her eyes fixed on Evelyn's flight suit, now a mantle of aerial majesty. The FAA will establish a safety award in your name to honor exceptional pilots. The cameras captured Evelyn's serene expression, her tote bag a relic of her triumph, her landing a relentless assault on the mockery that had sought to erase her. The audience's satisfaction soared, their fury at the trainees' sabotage transformed into reverence at the regulator's pledge, each word a guillotine slicing through the antagonist's arrogance. The private jet owners who jeered stood trembling, their crested suits now relics of their failure, their tire shop pilot hashtags buried under #Silverwing Reborn trends that swept social media. The press, their headlines blazing, framed Evelyn as the silent ace, her skill a radiant force that outshone their cruelty, the air thick with the weight of her triumph and their disgrace. The cadets who'd tossed logs sat in stunned silence, their insignia meaningless, their clout erased by Evelyn's brilliance. The airfield's control tower framed her victory, each award a testament to her enduring dignity. The regulator's commitment to integrate Evelyn's protocols into global standards sealed the antagonist's humiliation, their legacy reduced to ash, the audience's hearts swelling with pride at her coronation. The fallout was cataclysmic. Silverwing's culture of elitism shattered under Evelyn's iron will. She didn't merely buy the airfield, she transformed it into a combat-level flight academy for underprivileged youth, free of charge, merit-based, where the sky belonged to those who earned it, not those who inherited it. The trainees who'd mocked her were blacklisted, their applications voided, their social media accounts drowned in condemnation, their #CrashLyra hashtags replaced by #Silverwing Reborn. Candace's expulsion became a national scandal, her family's influence a fading echo, her aviators a relic of her disgrace. Drayton's career was obliterated, his name erased from aviation circles, his flight cap a forgotten artifact. The press uncovered Evelyn's past, a decorated combat pilot who'd flown covert missions, her scars earned in dogfights, her anonymity a choice to honor the unsung. They called her the Raptor Queen, her t-shirt and jeans now symbols of untouchable authority. Other airfields sent her invitations begging for partnerships, but she declined, her silence as powerful as her landing. As Evelyn prepared to depart the airfield, a crowd of aspiring pilots, aviation enthusiasts, and media gathered under the Arizona stars, their eyes wide with awe, their chants of Raptor Queen echoing through the night. A legendary test pilot whose daring had pushed the limits of flight stepped forward from the throng. His voice, a resonant proclamation that silenced the desert's hum, his presence, a final blow to the antagonist's pride. Evelyn Hart, your F-22, mastery is a beacon for every pilot who dares to dream, he declared, his eyes fixed on Evelyn's sneakers, now emblems of her triumph. The Experimental Aircraft Association will name its highest honor after you, celebrating courage in the skies. The cameras followed Evelyn's serene silhouette, her sketchbook a symbol of her victory, her landing a legend that would outlive the airfield. The audience's satisfaction surged, their rage at the initial cruelty transformed into reverence at the test pilot's pledge, each word a lash against the antagonist's pride. The journalists who'd tossed passes stood trembling, their notepads irrelevant, their #crash Lyra hashtags buried under Raptor Queen trends that dominated global feeds. The press, their headlines blazing, framed Evelyn as the silent ace, her skill a radiant force that outshone their betrayal, the air thick with the weight of her triumph and their disgrace. The influencers and moguls sat in stunned silence, their clout extinguished by Evelyn's brilliance. The airfield's runways framed her victory, each honor a testament to her enduring dignity. The test pilot's vow to mentor Evelyn's academy students sealed the antagonist's humiliation, their legacy reduced to a footnote, the audience's hearts pounding with pride at her ascent. The audience who jeered her were left to grapple with their shame, their status erased, their clout a fading echo. Evelyn's victory wasn't just ownership, it was a reckoning etched into Silverwing's history, a reminder that the simplest woman could wield the deadliest wings, the audience's hearts pounding with pride. Silverwing's transformation was seismic, its hangars now a beacon for dreamers who'd been denied the sky. Evelyn's academy trained pilots with the precision of her Phantom Wolves, her instructors handpicked for merit, their respect for her absolute, their eyes on the tarmac where she'd landed the Raptor. The airfield's jets, once toys for the rich, now served the determined, the media documenting every takeoff as a testament to her vision. The corporate moguls who'd scoffed were ostracized, their invitations to elite events revoked, their influence meaningless against Evelyn's reach. The influencers who'd filmed her crash faced a social media storm, their accounts suspended, their clout buried under Raptor Queen trends. Evelyn's closing statement, delivered to a global audience, echoed like a sonic boom. I wasn't here to fit in. I was here to clean house. And sometimes, to clean you start by taking out the trash. The press framed her as a legend, her F-22 landing a symbol of justice, her academy a revolution that redefined aviation. The audience's satisfaction soared, their rage at the initial cruelty transformed into reverence for her triumph, each word a testament to her enduring dignity. The Arizona plains, once a backdrop for privilege, now framed her empire, where Evelyn's victory stood as an unassailable truth. Evelyn Hart didn't come for applause. She came to take back what arrogance tried to steal, the sky, the respect. Like, share, comment, subscribe, because the next time they mock a simple woman, she might just descend in an F-22.